This video is going to be entirely constructive feedback, so please take it as such. I just got home from driving all over outer Southeast Portland and Gresham after I got a rapid response text that ICE was raiding apartment complexes not that far from my house. And it was not the greatest experience for me. So I want to tell you what happened, and then I think there's some things that could be done differently next time. And I am intending this video as constructive criticism and helpful feedback so that other people who are organizing in Signal chats and text groups and Discord groups who are trying to form rapid response teams can be as effective as possible. Okay, I gotta get my coffee so I can get through this here. Yes, it's microwave. Coffee is so expensive now. I left my cold cup of coffee on the counter and I zipped over to, go respond to an ICE sighting, and I came home and I was like, I can't throw this away. This is going in the microwave. So it's microwaved coffee. Anyway, okay, so I'm getting ready for a Zoom call with other organizers, and I got a message in one of the Signal chats I'm in. It was like, hey, ICE is on the scene at an apartment complex. And the address that was given was basically 11 city blocks away from me. And I was like, oh, I can be there real quick. And so I responded in the chat, hey, give me a second to see if I can reschedule the Zoom. 50-50 odds, I can go show up. The request was for people to show up with their whistles and document and make sure that we are on site to do what we can as ICE is targeting these apartment complexes in outer Southeast Portland that have a lot of immigrants living in them. So I confirmed the address in the chat and I was like, hey, has anybody notified PIRC? That's the Portland Immigrant Rights Coalition. That's the gold standard. If you see ICE in the Portland metro area, if you see ICE in Oregon, you call the PIRC hotline. Save the number in your phone. I also recommend anybody who is interested in being on a rapid response team do the PIRC training. They offer it in person and also online. Now, real quickly here, about 80% of people who take the PIRC training don't actually sign up to be rapid responders. They're really overwhelmed with the number of people who want to do the training, but then they don't have a large enough group of people who can show up within 10 or 15 minutes. So the way it works is if you do the training, you get on their text list. And if there is an confirmed ICE sighting that's within like 10 or 15 minutes of your house, they will text you and say, hey, can you show up? Can you show up right now? If you can, then respond to this text. If not, ignore it. But because PIRC is very overwhelmed, because ICE is targeting Oregon very hard, what we are seeing is other kinds of ICE watch groups that are popping up, other kinds of like chats that are happening in different neighborhoods. They're sometimes organized around a specific, like elementary school that's been targeted, or a specific neighborhood, or maybe your city council district, et cetera, et cetera. So there's all of these alternative groups. They don't have the same kind of training and the same kind of protocol and expectations as PIRC. And I'm going to get into why that is a problem in just a minute. Now, it's my bad. I didn't ask the person who said confirmed ICE sighting at this apartment complex. Here's the address. I didn't confirm that that person was on site. So I responded like, hey, are you notifying PIRC? And they're like working on it. My presumption was that if it's a confirmed sighting, that person is there with eyes on ICE agents at the location. So, canceled my meeting, rescheduled it. I threw on shoes, grabbed my whistle. I grabbed my eldest kid who grabbed her whistle, and we took off. As we were approaching the address that they had given me, I was like, this isn't a real address. This is a little bit of a problem. There's an elementary school around here, so maybe they meant around the elementary school, but there's not actually an apartment complex with that address. So we're driving around. I'm like, okay. So my daughter texted in the chat, because I don't text and drive. Can you just confirm that this address is correct? And she said, yes, but they've moved across the street. ICE has now moved across the street to the other apartment complex. And we're like, don't see any apartment complex here that matches that address, and there's not one directly across the street from where that address would have existed had it been an apartment complex. So we're like, okay, we're just gonna keep driving around. We're gonna make sure that there's no ICE vehicles in the area. There were an awful lot of Portland police vehicles, but I didn't see anything that matched the description for what ICE typically drives. Rental cars, sometimes they take the front license plate off. They are newer rental cars, and then they're often wearing baseball caps. And if you've seen a couple of ICE vehicles, you know what to look for. They're often SUVs, not always, but they're often SUVs. And you get, you know when you see it. So after a while, I was like, this can't be right. There's no ICE activity anywhere here, and I'm not convinced that we're at the right place. So the person followed up with the name of a different apartment complex. Oh, they moved to this other apartment complex. We Googled the address for that, and I was like, that's in Gresham. That's another city. Like, that's 15 minutes away from where I am. And now we've wasted 15, 20 minutes driving around this part of town when ICE isn't even here. And clearly people are being targeted at this other location. And, she typed into the chat like, oh, I'm not actually on site. I'm just hearing from other people that this is happening. And I'm worried for the folks who are texting me that ICE is at their apartment complex. And I'm like, okay. So this is not a confirmed sighting because you don't have eyes on ICE there. You're not at the location, and this isn't the correct address. The group itself was for ICE rapid response or organizing around ICE in my neighborhood, not in Gresham, Oregon, 25 minutes from my house. But since we were on the way, we were like, we're just going to go and see if we can be of any service here, right? Can we be helpful as long as we're going? We got to the actual address. There's a whole lot of apartment complexes. We went in and out of every single parking lot. As we pulled into one parking lot, there was an adjacent parking lot with a rental white SUV that did blow out of that parking lot. But I can't confirm, I cannot in any way confirm that was ICE, but it was suspicious. It was definitely suspicious. A new SUV that was clearly a rental. And they were hightailing it out of there. And we watched them blow through a stop sign and go down the street, exiting out of that part of like that apartment complex area. But that was the only thing that I saw. So we spent some time there. And then, my daughter is texting in the chat like, hey, just like some constructive feedback here. And I want to share that constructive feedback with you all as well, because I think there's a really important lesson here. So my daughter said, when you post in a group and you expect rapid response, it's really important that you share accurate information. Make sure that ICE is actually confirmed to be on site. Make sure that you have the address correct and that there is a description of how many ICE agents, what make and model of the vehicles. If you can get that information, that's really important. A description of what they're wearing. Also helpful. All of that. The more information you can give, the better. But at the bare minimum, you got to have the correct address. So my daughter was just like, hey, let's make sure that we're not wasting people's time. I took off from work. I rescheduled a meeting. My daughter dropped everything and we just went when the call went out. But we were sent to the wrong location and we wasted precious minutes, 15, 20 minutes at the wrong location. So I was frustrated because I was like, could we have gotten to this location in Gresham on time and maybe been able to do something to help, if nothing other than documenting? But then my daughter was like, well, was ICE even really there, right? It's not a confirmed sighting. And so, she texted in the chat, hey, if you're asking people in the middle of the day to respond very quickly, you have to make sure that their sacrifice, the use of their time and resources is actually going to benefit the cause. We don't want to send people on wild goose chases. And the original messenger was like, I'm totally valid feedback. I hear you. I was just really, really escalated because people I care about were texting me saying they're being targeted and I wanted them to get help. But it's not helpful if you give the wrong address. It's actually detrimental. It makes it not only impossible for people to show up and be helpful, it also erodes trust. If you're in a rapid response group and people are not posting accurate information, if they are posting about ICE when ICE isn't really there, if they're giving the wrong address, details are incorrect, whatever, it becomes the boy who cried wolf a little bit. People are making very real sacrifices in order to work for ICE Watch groups, in order to volunteer for Migro Watch groups. And this is kind of why I say that PERC is the gold standard. And really, I have not found anybody who does rapid response better than PERC. I know they're very overwhelmed. If you are in a Signal chat, you are running a Signal chat for an ICE response group, please, please, please set some standards. Not only for the parameters, I would not have responded if I had known that this call was for Gresham, Oregon, and not 11 blocks from my house. And if a group is known for giving inaccurate information, people will stop responding because they want to make sure that they're actually helping the cause. So my advice for this local group that I'm in and any group that you're in is set a protocol. Is your group really equipped to do rapid response? And if it is, what are your requirements before somebody puts out a call? confirming ICE is there, confirming the address is correct, make and model of the vehicles, number of agents. That's a start.